Thank you all so much for watching this video. Today we have Mr. Pankaj with us, and Mr. Pankaj has 15 plus years of experience, and he has worked in different capacities, and different roles. He started off working with Wipro, then he has experience working with Verizon as a product manager. Then he became director of product strategy in Michelin, and now is working as Vice President Product Management with Verra Mobility. Thank you so much, Pankaj, for providing your time for this deep interaction rather, on how AI is revolutionizing the way we work and the way the businesses function. And Mr. Pankaj also has MBA from Georgia Institute of Technology and MS from San Jose State University. Thank you, Pankaj. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I probably, introduced your bit of introduction. So Pankaj, here is the first question. What are the different advancements which are being done in the space of data streams? A lot of people are talking about data. We're getting drenched in data. Mm-hmm. And what do you think will be its impact on the job market?
Well, first of all, thanks, Bharani, for the great introduction. But talking about data, right? So data is not new. I mean, everybody understands data has been generated for years and years. I don't think anything has revolutionized in terms of data. What has revolutionized is the amount of data and how people have started to make sense out of data. So data streams have evolved. Technology, with the advancement of technology, of course, the job markets react. And the same thing with the advancement of data and the use of data, the job market is bound to react. For example, think about in the past, the analytics stream was not that important. Now, with the availability of huge amount of data, you have new jobs coming up from an analytics point of view. There is how do you analyze the data? The second part is how do you visualize the data? 10 years back, you wouldn't have thought about there is a person who will be required to make visualization as a job. So now there is UX, UI engineers who are required to make sense out of data and visualize it. Similarly, IoT has been there for a long time, Internet of Things, but the connectivity, the ability to connect each and every individual parts of an operational system or any machine has made us, again, the large sum of data coming in. The effective use of that data is, again, something that the job market needs to react to. I'll give an example. I was in Verizon, we were getting significant amount of data coming from the vehicles. That's what my role was, to gather data coming from the vehicle assets. It used to tell how the driver is driving, whether it's acceleration, braking, cornering, which is great. You can find out, you can score a driver, whether he's driving good, bad, and probably provide a response. What was more effective is to tell the time of the day that the driver was behaving. In the morning, the driver behavior, majority of the drivers were fine because they were energetic, they were on coffee, and everything was going fine. As the day go by, the fatigues kick in, and then you start seeing that value the score goes lower and lower. So again, right? So sense of these data is nothing but someone needs to sit and make sense out of that data. Then, of course, there's machine learning and AI, and I'm sure you know much more than what I do in terms of AI. But if you look at the job market, the market has suddenly switched, and everybody's talking about AI. I mean, I don't think we are anything unique, but everybody's talking about AI. But the job market there's huge gaps in terms of the technology skills, as well as the critical thinking skills to understand what AI can impact a business, how AI can impact a business. So that's also something which is going to come up, and it's already there and it's coming up soon. The other piece which I believe, apart from the data engineering aspect, which is critical, like managing a huge infrastructure, managing the data lakes, managing the stream of data, cleansing the data, etc., there is a huge requirement in the job market, or will come up, is data security and data privacy. I think data security is one of the critical stream of job that will enhance in the future with the amount of data that we'll be processing. And then comes the privacy. And I know you must be familiar with, in UK, they have GDPR. In US, they are slowly starting the privacy laws, and it's adopted within the state, within different states. But again, the importance of privacy, the importance of privacy is gaining all across the globe. And with that, there will be sudden increase in understanding the privacy laws, understanding and implementing the privacy security laws, etc., within the data stream, within the infrastructure, and so on. So that's another important thing which is going to come up in the next couple of years or so.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Pankaj. It really makes a lot of sense. So from behavioral analytics, there was a discussion and a mention of critical thinking, which is undoubtedly, the most important skill which one should possess to solve the business problems.
Yeah.
And data security and privacy, oh my God, right? Only people say, and the research says that only 9% of the security breach incidents come to light. Companies are scared that their brand image might go for a toss, their share markets might collapse at something of this kind. It comes up in the news. So they try to put it under the mattress and then brush it aside, right? But that's absolutely valid. And one point here is, Mr. Pankaj, based on my experience, right? While we were working with one of the tire manufacturing companies, they resorted to not prepaid but postpaid mechanisms of selling tires. That means you would not get the money upfront. You get paid for the number of kilometers they drive. And in this particular designing this particular strategy, was done by the group of directors alongside me, and we thought about installing IoT sensors to track the distance, etc. And using that data, we started monetizing. What should be the shortest route, right? At what pace is your driver traveling? Is there a probability of that vehicle meeting with accident, or would that break down because of the wild driving, so on and so forth? So giving away something in the way of postpaid would mean that we would again be monetizing and making money in some other way. So data monetization was used there. So I quickly thought to see that.
Using the data to change a business model is so relevant. So as you said, the example, right? So just take an example of tire. Now that service that you're referring to is actually in the market. It's called tire as a service. So at the end of the day, if you're paying let's say the tire costs around $200, I don't know how this makes sense, but somewhere around $200 or something. And then if you are managing, mostly if you use the tire extensively, then you're changing the tires at a frequent rate. But as an operational manager, you don't know when the tire change needs to happen. If you have this tire as a service, you are paying for the tire. You don't worry about tire change. You understand your cost. You understand your operational revenue. It makes sense for them, and for the tire manufacturer, it makes sense for them. It's a continuous revenue stream. So it's a win-win scenario. And with having the sensor, with not even within the tire, within the vehicle itself, just to understand how many miles that the vehicle has driven, you can eventually understand like it's time to change the tire, and we can change the tire. And it's changing the business model altogether. So I completely agree with you. I think having data sources can definitely enlighten you in terms of your business model. Plus, it can provide you new additional revenue streams from different areas.
Absolutely. And this brings us to the second question, Mr. Pankaj. What do you think will be the impact of AI on the companies which are adopting AI, who are being adaptable, and those companies which are still stubborn and thinking about, no, AI would not do any big trick. We would, rather follow status quo.
Yeah, I hope there is no company who's thinking like that, because that's not going to be the case. But I think over the period of time, especially with all this talk going on in the market, and everybody's talking about ChatGPT, Google just announced, if you would have seen the announcements, it's all about AI all the time. Irrespective, every area, every ecosystem in the industry will be impacted by AI, whether it's finance, operations, engineering, innovation, everything, every stream in every industry will be impacted by AI. Companies are somehow, in a way, forced to adapt AI. Now, the difference will be which company are successfully adapting to the AI and which companies are not changing. And I don't think status quo makes sense for any organization. Like I'm in the middle of the discussion of thinking about a tolling infrastructure and how AI will be impacting a tolling infrastructure. So everybody is thinking about it. The question is who will act and who will act correctly. So there is definitely advantages of adopting the AI quickly. It's a baseline competitive advantage. Think about it this way: if I have a company running, and let's say I'm a tire manufacturer, right? I have an operational engine running, and if I can improve the efficiency by five times, reduce the cost by 5 times, and reduce the errors by 5 times, my competition has no chance of competing with me, right? And the decision making of the material that needs to be used, if I'm using AI to make those decisions, effective decisions, again, right? So that's a big competitive advantage for me as compared to my competitor. So that's competitive advantage. Cost efficiencies, there's a no-brainer in that. It's a reduction or transformation of human resource. Like in every industry, there is repetitive work, redundant work, which is done over the period of time. If I think about an example, testing to a certain extent is a repetitive, redundant work. But if with the help of machine learning, AI, and robotics, you can reduce that significantly. I'll give you a recent example. There are OCR engines which are running in many organizations, which takes in paper, scans it, makes sense out of the data, and present it. But what happens over the period of time, the structure of the form in way changes. Some people have writing issues, and so that also changes, and it's unreadable. With the robotics and AI, that has changed to a point that it takes probably an hour for the machine to understand, or less than an hour if it's not that complex, to understand what changes have happened in the form, and it adapts to it and then makes sense out of it, creates that data and puts it into the data stream. So again, right, so that's cost efficiency. Otherwise, a human has to go and change and create a new code in an OCR machine to adapt to the new. So that takes A, months of work, which is time and cost, and B, it's another additional resources that you need to deploy to make that happen. So again, cost efficiency is a big thing. If you think about the company, as an owner of a company, again, I'm putting myself, if I own an organization, I need to make decisions almost every day. And I need insightful, accurate data to make that decision. Now, think about this way. If I have an AI assistant who can tell me how's my finance running, should I be looking at certain area in the finance? Is my EBITDA going down in the next couple of months based on some factors that I'm not able to see in the data stream or not able to see in sales? How is my sales pipeline looking? And should I be looking at a specific region in the sales that I should be telling my team to go and focus on? So effective decision making, it's basically coming out of the business intelligence, and AI and ML feeding into the business intelligence makes a huge difference for an organization to take corrective actions, to go and course correct if they're going in the wrong direction, and of course beat the market and trying to find out a new alternative to the solutions. Then if I think about competition and who are adopting, who are not adopting, think about the impact of AI and analytics to the customer itself. I'll give you an example. In my past, one of the things that I worked on was we were providing operational analytics of vehicles, a fleet of vehicles. That means, like, let's say 100 vehicles, to the customers and letting them know how are they operating. Are they operating on an efficient route? Are their vehicles maintained properly? Are their drivers driving properly? We had video analytics also on top of it. But over the period of time, the customers started getting overwhelmed with the amount of information they're seeing. They have a business to run, but they're trying to understand what to make sense out of that data that we are providing them. So we had to continuously innovate, continuously create new value for them. So we started using analytics to provide them only the areas they need to focus on, rather than giving them, here's your data, figure out what's happening in your business. So think about if now, this is in the past, if now I can put an AI engine on top of it and say, just run this engine, and anytime you see a trend happening, alert the customer and explain him what's happening and give them a corrective solution, that will be a game changer in the market, right? So competition again will be hugely impacted. And of course, if you are ahead, if the company is ahead in the game of AI or the new technology advancements, you will attract the right workforce itself. That's a huge, as you build up, in terms of competition, one of the key differentiator is your workforce, your people. And in order for you to sustain and maintain and enhance your workforce, you need to be up the game. So if you don't adopt to it, nobody's going to stay in your organization. They'll obviously look at the alternatives and try and figure out new ways to be ahead of the game. So if you're not, I think everybody will try to answer the question whether the AI is part of their business stream or not, and they will try it. I think the difference will be who will be successful and who will not be. So that's going to be the change.
Absolutely, Mr. Pankaj. Well said. So the message is loud and clear. All the companies will be adopting AI. AI is no longer an optional service, right? It will be extremely imperative, right, in the business strategies extensively. Having said that, with respect to OCRs, I would like to quote a small example of a startup here. Already, the market pertaining to selling groceries as part of e-commerce is very competitive out here. Mm-hmm. And there is this startup which has come up. While I was interacting with the founder, I asked him this question on, there are a lot of big players, deep-pocketed, well-funded. How would you compete with them? What is your strategy? And he was saying that my strategy is very simple, AI. And I thought, okay, how would you do that? Actually, we won that project and we are doing that project for the client, but he was saying that it's as simple as this. We would ask the customers to take the photo of the grocery bill, and they just need to upload to our system. The moment they upload, they will they will be able to do a quick comparison on what was the money they spent on each of those items versus how much is the cost on this e-commerce company and how much would be the saving on an average per visit or per month. That would try to, ensure that a lot of customers switch to this e-commerce portal. That was the strategy. We are doing a project for them using paddle OCR, easy OCR, and techniques of this kind.
Nice.
And data quality is something which Mr. Pankaj has pointed out, and it is extremely apt that it is garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
If you get low quality data, no matter how many advanced machine learning algorithms you apply, it would not give you the desired results. And the third thing is attracting talent. Most often, a lot of companies focus only on their business strategies, right? They'll be too focused on only one activity, and then they discount the workforce. But workforce is something which is going to either make or break your company. So we have to give equal importance to workforce as well. Yeah, these were key points which were discussed as part of this brief. And Mr. Pankaj, I have one final question. What skills must be honed by the present working professionals to stay extremely relevant in the market, in the job market?
So is this pertaining to AI and the data and the way that we advance it? Yeah. So, from a baseline perspective, I would just call it very high level. It's called data and digital literacy, right? You need to have the minimal fundamental understanding of what is an AI, what is an ML, familiar themselves with how do you supervise a data stream, data lake, how do you create that infrastructure? That's a huge part of how the transition is going to happen. So that capability, that literacy is required in the market. Then it comes to analytics as well, right? So data literacy, data is one part, but then analysis of the data is another part. They need to enhance the skills in terms of data collection, pre-processing, analysis, and visualization. So those are the steps I would take in terms of creating that competency. I don't think so. From a software and programming perspective, there is going to be a transformation. I mean, that those skills are always required. But right now, if you would have seen some of the videos, which are interesting and scary at the same time, like somebody is just writing a Python code, like just giving one line sentence, like, okay, tell me a Python code which does this, and the AI just spits out all that information. So I think those lower level coding capabilities can potentially will be a game changer in the future. So no more like lower skills of Python, and I mean, it'll be required from a sanity perspective, but now there are machines where low code, no code, right? That's what we call it. Like I just need my modules to be implemented, and these I already have pre-flow modules. Like there are frameworks like TensorFlow, PyTorch, multiple of them are there in the market, which are AI models to create those codes, right? So that's something that can be done. The other is again, it's going on at the technical level. It's deep learning and neural networks, right? That's another area. Those are more and more, to my view, they're more and more scientific in nature, but those requires a lot of human brain. That's something which I would say it's more towards the research point of view. What's the next piece of it? Then if I change and call it soft skills, because I mean, these are the there's technical skills that you need, but there are certain soft skills that you need as well. One is, I think we talked about in the past, is critical thinking. Critical thinking, problem solving skills, and algorithmic thinking, if you want to call it, is really, really important, given the fact that you are going to get data, insights using an AI engine. You are going to get information from multiple machine learning and RPAs. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to make sense out of the multiple streams of information and actually take action. So critical thinking skills is going to be really, really important. You're fed with information now, and let me put it this way. What you need to do out of that information is what the skills will be required. The other software skill or other soft skills would be, in a way, ethical consideration of all the work you do. If you look at the market, everybody, especially the big companies, when they talk about AI, they always go back to like the ethical aspects of it, because AI can be really, really dangerous in some form or factor. So the ethical thinking, ethical consideration also becomes a piece of it. And the last soft skill, which I would say, is just continuous learning and adaptability. So as you know, I mean, technology changes, evolution happens. How you adopt to those skills, how do you change your thought process, how do you absorb all those capabilities and trends and try to make changes within your careers or advancement of the careers, that's going to be something which you need to be part of. You cannot be stone and like, I just know C, C++, and I think I'll be able to stream through it. You have to change through that whole model. Yeah, I mean, over the period of time, I think the job market is going to reflect that. Skills are going to change. But this aspect of, again, the next level of AI, VR, AR, all kind of this new technology streams, ecosystems coming up will make you think about different ways of adopting to that technology. So skills are going to be changing in the market in the next 10 years significantly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Pankaj. So we had a reference of data engineering in some sense, where you were saying that, you need to get the data into the place called as data lake or data warehouse, etc., so that the downstream departments start making use of that data, like analytics, your experts, etc. So that's going to be one critical thing. And with respect to coding automation, Mr. Pankaj has told that low code, no code, absolutely. Right? Auto ML is on the rise. You need not write even a single line of code. You just drag and drop, click on apply, and bunch of 250 plus different algorithms with different settings would run and give you the best model out. But one should have the intelligence to interpret the model results. That's what Pankaj was talking about. And absolutely, a lot of advanced research is happening in the space of deep learning and neural network. And that is going to be the game changer. Be it Chat GPT, which is built on GPT-4 now, as we speak today, or be it Bard from Google. Yeah, deep learning is the underlying framework on which all these models are running. Ethical AI is extremely important. It could be as simple as if your driverless car meets with an accident, who is to be blamed?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a huge question in the market.
Absolutely. So why did you even reject the loan of a specific customer? Ethics has to be built into that. And learning is never ending. Absolutely. That's the final point which Mr. Pankaj has made. And it's extremely strong statement, right? It's not the strongest or the wisest which survived, right? It is that species which was always adaptable. And that's the human species. That is what we are meant to be. So please keep upskilling, friends. People who are watching this session, I request you to please keep upskilling. Thank you so much, Mr. Pankaj. It has been really insightful discussion with you, and we hope to stay in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Mr. Bharani. It was great talking to you, and all the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.